Somebody wants to know whether you can plead the fifth against a field sobriety test. Well, that's an interesting question, and I'll talk about that in just a moment. The Fifth Amendment is a privilege against self-incrimination, but it's a testimonial privilege. Here's what the Fifth Amendment actually says. No person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on presentment or indictment of a grand jury, except in cases arising in the land or naval forces or in the militia when in actual service in time of war or public danger. Nor shall any person be subject for the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy of life or limb, nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself, nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. So as you can see, what the clause actually prevents is compelling you to be a witness against yourself. Doing a field sobriety test, however, is not being a witness against yourself. It is performing a series of tests to determine whether or not you are impaired. I suppose in some respects you could consider that to be compelled to be a witness against yourself, but you have to remember that driving is a privilege. It's a privilege that's granted by each of the states, and it's subject to the conditions of the license that you're issued. And one of those things is that when you are stopped, you're going to be asked to comply with the state trooper or the policeman who asks you to perform a field sobriety test. Now, they can't get a taser and tase you and make you do it under pain of physical torture, but the issue is, in most cases, they won't have to. Hey guys, if you like this so far, I would appreciate it if you would smash the like button there on the YouTube console. And if you haven't already, subscribe to our channel. Thanks. If you are truly impaired and a police officer asks you to do a field sobriety test and you refuse, he'll probably sit there and just ask you a series of questions and get you to speak. And if he asks you to take a breathalyzer and you refuse, in most cases, you're going to get your license suspended. You don't have to give evidence against yourself in the form of a breathalyzer. But if you refuse to take the breathalyzer, that also is used against you, but not in a criminal case. The removal of your driving privileges or the suspension of them is a civil action. So you're not really being put in jeopardy in that manner. So, what does that mean? Can you plead the fifth? Yes, you can plead the fifth. But, and your invocation of your right under the Fifth Amendment can't be admitted into evidence. And if you ask the state trooper or police officer, are you conducting an investigation? And they say yes. And you say, am I the target of that investigation? And they say yes. You can say, I don't choose to speak unless I'm in the presence of an attorney. Now, most states have methods to deal with this at the roadside. Most of them have DUI checkpoints and other procedures. And the state law in all of the different jurisdictions is different. So I can't get into that. I can just tell you that in most cases, invoking the Fifth Amendment is not going to work out the way you think it is. They're not going to go, heck, I guess we've lost this one. No, what's going to happen is they're going to find a different way to get enough evidence to at least convict you, at least charge you, and maybe not convict you, but at least go down that path. Doing the field sobriety test is voluntary in most states, but it may have collateral consequences. It may wind up getting your license suspended. That, however, is not a criminal problem. That is a civil problem, and there may be methods that you can use to get around that. However, if you are asked to take an evidentiary test, a test that can be used as evidence, which is blood, urine, or breathalyzer, if you're asked to take one of those tests and you refuse, in almost every instance, your license is going to be suspended. And like I said, it may not matter. The observations of the police officer alone, that your breath was heavily accented with alcohol, that your speech was slurred, that you were having trouble focusing. Even though you don't take that test, there is a good chance that just the observations of the police officer will be enough to get a conviction. Now, of course, the district attorney may decide not to charge, and there are all kinds of issues that relate to that. But generally speaking, I would advise someone to just not get caught in the first place by not driving drunk. That's the simplest way to avoid this kind of thing. But yes, the field sobriety test is voluntary. You can refuse it. If you do so, make sure you do so politely. Almost all troopers and police officers now have badge cameras, and I can assure you that if you say something unkind or untoward to that police officer, it will show up on the video that is used in court. The only way that doesn't happen is if you immediately invoke your right to counsel. Once you invoke the right to counsel, you don't have to answer any more questions, and you can, clam up more or less. But again, sometimes that comes with also collateral consequences in terms of your driving privileges. So that's the short answer. That's probably a little longer than it needs to be, but this is, after all, a discussion on the law, and sometimes that gets to be a little longer anyway. All right, so thank you. If you have found this helpful, please smash the like button. And if you haven't already, subscribe to our channel. Press the notification bell so that you can be notified every time we release a video here on this channel. Hope you have a great day. Thank you for watching. See you later.